Well, goodness, it's been 20 years, 20-some years since we were down here, and I was thinking of all the people that I needed to thank, and everybody's been covered so far, so we're good. Of course, Carla, but Barbara Crockett is the one who got Ann and I down here in the first place, so we appreciate her. And then she came up to our part of the world and lived in New Mexico near us for a while. So we've been having a good ride. I started speaking about, gosh, that's embarrassing. How long ago was that? 40 some years ago. And spoke and did workshops, including the Monroe groups, different places. And then I got a message, and the message that I got was, stop speaking, teacher, heal thyself. I spent 14 years without speaking, and you talk about withdrawals. That's an interesting situation. I have a weird life. You have to understand that. I have conversations. Now, we don't have anybody here who's licensed or qualified to commit people, do we? Okay. Well, anyway, I talk to cars, trees, rocks, things like that. And it's, you know, sometimes it's some of the best conversation that a person can have. It was about 3 years ago. Actually, I think it was in January. And my truck spoke to me. My truck's name is Steve. Steve is a good friend. He's been around a long time. The elemental, or whatever you refer to them as, who is the intelligence of Steve, has been with us through other incarnations. He's a Ford truck now. He used to be a Bronco. He used to be a Chevrolet and stuff like that. But Steve just spoke to me, and I might need the tissues. He just said, "You're good to go." And that just blew me away. That meant I got to go back out and speak again. And he set up my first talk and everything. He's a marvel. It's good to be able to talk to your car. We live out in the desert, and it doesn't rain often, but if it does rain, it does snow more than it rains. We're at 7,000 feet up in New Mexico. And Steve will always let us know if we're going to make it down that dirt road or not. We have a third of a mile of old dirt road that gets us out to the highway. So it's good to be able to talk to your car, and he'll let us know if it needs to go to the shop before a trip or whatever. Anyway, so I often tell people when I start to talk, you need to create a mental shelf. Now, mental shelf, you know how humans are. We listen to something, we hear something, we see something, we experience something, and instantaneously we judge it. It's just part of human nature. It is the ego. The ego functions that way. So we hear something and we say, that's nonsense, or that's good, or oh, I ought to remember that, or we make some judgment of it. And every spiritual teacher we listen to, from the Course in Miracles to Unity to whatever, tells us to stop thinking. You know, judge not is what we get. And we judge the judge not statement. Is that true or not? Should I not judge? Should I judge my judgment? You know, whatever. We really go a little berserk. But I tell people, hey, when I'm speaking, I'm going to say some really weird stuff. Really off-the-wall, weird stuff. And in order to not judge it, the trick that I use is to place it on my mental shelf for later evaluation. That means I don't have to decide it's nonsense or it's good stuff or whatever right now, so I just put it up on the mental shelf. So when I say something that's off the wall, instead of having to take 10 minutes to analyze that and figure out, does that fit in my belief system? Just put it on the mental shelf, So you can put Steve up on the mental shelf and all this stuff that I say here. We just made some fabulous friends down here. Claude Fuller was one of our great friends, and he came to a number of retreats and workshops that we did. The last time we saw Claude, we were at his house, and he said, "The doctors tell me that I have 7 fatal conditions." And I said, "You just really don't want to miss that train, do you? You're going to be sure you get on that train and go where you have to go." I loved that statement. What did Abigail say? "I am here to be truly helpful, only here to be truly helpful." We have no idea what that means to us yet. Okay? We have no idea what our service is to this planet. I just love some of the blanket statements in the Course in Miracles. Nothing I see means anything. Now, today, we've already looked at over 1,000 things and said, I know what that means. And yet the Course says nothing I see means anything. I have given everything I see all the meaning that it has for me. Now, wait a minute. You mean there's no objective reality? There's only the meaning to life that I have assigned to it? It's true. It's true. Okay, 2012. What in the world does that mean? It means, again, you have no idea where you're going from here on. Okay? 2012 offers a fork in the road, and you do not have very long to decide whether you're going to take the left fork or the right fork. If you do not decide which fork you're going to take, you're going to take the one that you wish you had not taken. 2012, what can we say? There's so many things that I tend to hear myself saying these days that are just completely radical, just completely weird, off the wall, strange stuff. And what I envision in 2012 is about as weird as it gets. This is a different time. The planet has seen changes in the past. There have been pretty significant changes in the past, especially since the energy of the Aquarian Age began to impinge on this planet a couple of hundred years ago. It always starts creeping in before we actually reach the shift. But the shift from Piscean Age to Aquarian Age means leaving the Kali Yuga, leaving the Dark Age, leaving the age where human beings kill each other, torture each other, demean each other, judge each other, and moving into the age that I simply refer to as the Garden of Eden. Now, the problem with that shift is the shift is guaranteed. The shift is going to happen. We've done everything necessary to create the shift. Many people are worried that it's all going to fall apart before we make the shift. But if you look with your inner vision, we're over the hump. We've passed critical mass. We're going there. And we can't go anywhere unless we create it. there's a lot of paradox when you get into reality, when you get into quantum physics, when you get into understanding that I have given all the meaning to everything that it has, that I am the divine creator. Now, how would you, has everybody created their mental shelf? Okay, we're good with that? All right. There is no divine creator of this universe other than you. You are it. Without you, it would not exist. Okay? We look around and we think we got 35, 40 separate people in this room. Now we know better than that. Every one of us has read book after book that tells us that's not right. We're all one. And none of us can comprehend what it means to be one. We still think, you know, I'm the one that has the itch. I'm the one that has the need. I'm the one that has the desire. I'm the one that's seeing what needs to be repaired on my planet. Okay? Would you be willing to give that up? Actually, would you be willing to give up your entire belief system? 100% of your belief system. Simply to become enlightened and remember your connection with God? Now the answer is no, of course. None of it. We defend our belief system, we defend our point of view, we defend our position, we defend everything we've been educated in, you know. But fortunately, we don't have to do that today. We do have to do it pretty quickly, or we'll be on that path we didn't want to be on. So there is a fork in the road coming. That's what 2012 is all about, is the fork in the road. 99, 98%, 99% of the human beings on this planet absolutely believe that what they see is real. Spend their entire life reacting to what's in their face. Okay? And what's in our face? Either something we don't like or something we do like. And if it's something we don't like, then we try to avoid it. That's what the logical human being would do. Let me get out of the way of that truck before it runs me over. Something we do like, how do I get more? How do I get more? Nothing to do with the fact that I am part of infinite spirit, and therefore I have infinite abundance, and I cannot lack anything. I don't need to think about what I need in my life. There is no way the universe can withhold anything from anybody. You know, it's just really silly to say, boy, I hope I win the lottery this week. You know, your life is planned. All time is not linear time. I had a lesson, I've had many lessons from my spirit guides over the years, and one of them, they gave me a little dissertation on time. So one individual came in and said, I am from the fourth dimension, and I would like to tell you about time. He said, you see time as a straight line. You see time as what is past, and I can't do anything about that. The future is bearing down on me, and I can't stop it, and it's gonna run over me. Right? My past I associate with guilt. My future I associate with fear. In there somewhere I have a little hope that things work out. Okay? He said, we don't see that description of time from the fourth dimensional perspective. He said, from the fourth dimensional perspective, time is not a straight line, it is a circle. And as a circle, we have the opportunity, how would you say past or future? This point might be past if you're going this way, but it's future if you're going this way. All right? So what does that mean to have past and future? He said, if I decide to incarnate on the earth, I get to look at the circle and say, I'm going to incarnate there. What's that? 1794. Cool. Or I could incarnate over here. That's 461 BC, right? I could incarnate in the year 5000. I could incarnate anywhere I want on the circle. I get to choose that. When I'm in fourth dimension, I'm not in time. I'm looking at time, but I'm not in time until I say I want to incarnate. A fifth dimensional fella came into my head and he said, nah, let me tell you how time really works. He said, you see it as a line. Past is guilt. Future is fear. Present is worry. You know, that's fear about the future, that the past will repeat itself and that sort of thing. So that fourth dimensional guy sees it as a circle, gives him a little more flexibility because he can pick and choose where he wants to come into timeline. Okay? Well, from fifth dimensional perspective, it's not a line, it's not a circle, it's a dot. Said from a fifth dimensional perspective, and you know how many dimensions there are, of course, an infinite number, all right? And we're on 3. How do we get in 3-dimensional time-space? Why didn't we pick 300 or 3,000 or 3 million? Obviously, we don't know anything. Obviously, we have no perspective about anything. We're so restricted and so limited in 3-dimensional time-space. Well, he said, we see time as a dot. We're just fifth-dimensional beings. So, all time to us is simultaneous time. It's all contained in one point, one instant, okay? Which I think the Course refers to as the divine instant. Every instant is a divine instant because every instant contains all of the past and all of the future. He says, you guys worry about things you can't change. You did something, you feel guilty, you think I'm guilty forever because I can't change that. You see stuff out here you can't handle coming at you, and so you live in fear. I can't handle that. Said, we see all time as simultaneous time, and we can demonstrate to you from our perspective, if you step over here, that if I think a loving thought in the moment, I have transformed all time into love. Because it's all in that one moment. It's all in that instant. So I think a loving thought, all my past was transformed into love. All my future was transformed into love. That's a kind of a fantasy, isn't it? That we would like to have access to, so that we would never have to think about guilt or fear again. If I were to think of love and then review my past, all I would see would be love. Think of love and then get a little forecast of my future, it would all be love. That fantasy must become a reality to you in 2012. Okay? That means we're going to have to stop reading the Course and start believing the Course. Nothing I see means anything. Just think about that one for a couple of days. Nothing I see means anything. Now wait a minute, I just watched the news. I just listened to the political debates. And that means nothing? I just read the newspaper about all the harm that was done to all of these people by all of these bad people. Are you telling me that means nothing? Absolutely. Absolutely. Let me give you a little. Now, you know, we're going to do a huge amount of work here in 2 days. And thanks to Lily for letting us use her house tomorrow. That's marvelous. We're going to do a huge amount. Move in the direction we want to go, okay? And it includes understanding reality as compared to the illusion. Ooh, we don't particularly like that word illusion because it just rubs us the wrong way. When you see an animal harmed and you say, oh, it's illusion, no, 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 right? That means I have no compassion. We're going to come up with a new definition for compassion. Compassion is doing what heals. And seeing tragedy heals nothing. Seeing tragedy extends the tragedy. Minds create reality. What you think, what you perceive when you are looking at your world is creating the world you're going to have tomorrow. So we know what we want our world tomorrow to be, right? We do want this Garden of Eden. We do want everyone in love with everyone. We want one family per planet, you know, and we're going to define what we want. We're going to define a new worldview. There's an old worldview that we're ready to discard. It's the one you see on the news in the evening. There's a new worldview that very few individuals in the recorded history of this planet have ever understood. You could probably name all that you've ever heard of on one hand. We had Buddha, we had Jesus, we had Lao Tzu, we had Krishna, you know, just a handful of people who did not see tragedy, who did not see pain and suffering, who saw only perfection, who saw people moving in the direction that they want to go by releasing everything they don't want. We focus on what we don't want. Ann was doing a massage on a woman who works on the news in Albuquerque. And she said, if it bleeds, it leads. You know, the worst story we can find will be the lead story on the news. People love tragedy, love drama, love to believe that there are things wrong out there. Because then I'm not so bad. I can get a little self-worth out of that. I'm not as bad as that guy who's being sentenced to prison for all these horrible acts. What if we didn't sentence anybody to prison? What if we didn't go to war with anybody? What if we just offered healing to everybody? 2012, we got 12 months, folks. 12 months to pick the left fork or the right fork. There is going to be a lot of drama on this planet. There already has been a lot of drama on this planet associated with the 2012 energy. Nations over in the Mideast, nuclear accidents and tsunamis, they're just getting started. There's a lot of stuff going on. We can find it the worst time in history, or we can find it the best time in history. And it is, as Charles Dickens said, it is the best of times, it is the worst of times. Well, nobody is special. We know that one too. Nobody is special. Everybody is an equal aspect of God. So how could anybody be special? Right? But, now knowing that you are not special, and you won't ever forget that, right? You are not special, okay? That will keep you from getting the big head, right? But you are not average either. You are in the less than 1% of humanity on this planet that has the possibility of comprehending 100% what's in the Course in Miracles. How many times are you going to have to read it? Once? We were just listening to a talk given by a lady who is a lady who is in the has a healing practice, and she was talking about when her children were 6 and 8 years old, she was arrested. She was unjustly arrested for something she didn't do and spent 4 years in jail. And she said, you know, I made a choice. She knew a little bit about metaphysics and a little bit about spirit, and she made a choice. And she said, my chance for survival is to go within. And she went within. Someone brought her the Course in Miracles. She said, I needed a miracle in a hurry. I read the whole 1,100 pages in 1 month, in 30 days. And then she read it again, and then she read it again. She did get her miracle. She did transform her life. And as a result of her experience, would she have read the Course many times in 4 years? No. You know, when everything's okay, we say, I got it, God. Don't bother. I'll take care of this life. You know, when we're driven to our knees and backed in a corner and battered severely about the head and shoulders, we turn to God. How blessed is it that each and every one of you have been driven to your knees in this life. Now we're going to do a lot of interactive work this weekend with each other, help each other, see things for each other that we have trouble seeing for ourselves, and that sort of thing. But think now for a moment. I mean, Carla gave us her story, driven to her knees, out of her mind, no way out. Now the average human being says, avoid that. Run from that. Get away from that. Take drugs. Do something, right? Get out of that mess. Okay? We know that that is our key to the service we are here to perform for humanity. There is no drug counselor, no AA counselor who is worth a hoot if they haven't been addicted. How are they going to get somebody out of addiction if they don't even know what they're talking about? You don't get to be an AA counselor unless you were an addict, right? You're here to heal humanity. You don't get to be a humanity healer unless you are an addict of the ego. How are you going to understand other people's ego if you haven't been buried into it up to your eyeballs? Okay? Think of all the things you've gone through in this life. The worst tragedies, the heaviest moments, the deepest depressions. Can you say, I honor that? I respect that. That was my training course to be a healer for humanity. You enrolled for it. Nothing's imposed on anybody on this planet. Absolutely nothing is imposed on anybody on this planet. You enrolled for it. You wrote out your own curriculum. You specified in detail everything that you were going to go through in this life, you said, I want to offer healing to these people. That's based on your own karma. That's your own experience. I know these people. I can relate to these people. I can understand. I'm going to offer healing to these people. Okay, you're going to go through something that will let you know what they're going through at the moment. Okay? Are you willing? Are you willing to honor, instead of say, that was my dark night of the soul? No. That wasn't your dark night of the soul. That was your opening to the infinite. That was your opportunity to grasp what you're going to offer humanity. Now, you're here only to be truly helpful, which means you're going to take every tragedy you've been through that you visualized. You're going to learn that it was not real, that it did not happen. It was an audio-visual training program for awakening souls, as every day is on this planet. And you're going to use that to offer healing to the planet. Okay, so what this weekend is about, maybe, I don't really ever know, but what this weekend might be about is we are going to work with each other and we are going to complete our own healing. Complete our own healing. Okay? There are things that we just assume other people didn't know about us. Wrong. The Hindus say, freedom is when you realize that God has known every thought you ever had all along. Right? We have no secrets. We're going to complete our own healing, make the transition into living personally in the Garden of Eden, so that we can teach the rest of the planet how to do that. Okay? So we're going to talk about all the false beliefs that we have and our willingness to release them so we can replace them with love, with forgiveness. You know, the Course says we've only got one thing to do, and that's forgive. And you're home. Hey, piece of cake, right? You cannot forgive until you truly comprehend that nothing back there ever happened. You're not forgiving somebody that did something bad, and I'm a good person, and I'm going to let you off the hook. They've never been on the hook. They never did anything. You never did anything. Still a little room on the mental shelf? How are we doing? Okay. I mean, we'll save the heavier, the deeper concepts for tomorrow, right? Like, you're not even here. We won't talk about that today. We'll talk about that later on. Okay. We each have things that we need help with. Okay? We're going to offer that help to each other. That's what we're really doing here, is offering help to each other. As we work with each other and help each other complete the healing that we've been working on the whole lifetime, deepen our understanding of the goodness of God, okay? Help each other grasp that concept, okay? There's going to be individual things that are, well, you know, I can believe that except for this one thing. We're going to, and it's right. You can't get over that. The Course says you got no shot at enlightenment if you try to do it by yourself. Right? You can't do it by yourself. That's a contradiction in terms. There is no self. There's the one. We're all one. So how can anybody do anything by themselves? We want to return to the natural state of all being one. One mind, one heart, one thought. There are things in the Course that make no sense, totally illogical. You know, we're going to melt back into this one state, but won't I lose my identity? No. You get to keep who you are, at least the parts of it that you have appreciated. You get to keep that. And you're the one God. We can't comprehend that. One of the messages I got way back when I was talking to my guides saying, what do you mean I'm going to do this and do that? I say, you guys are crazy. You don't know my life. Anyway, they were telling me all these things, of course, that came true. But one of the things that one of my particular friends over there said, when you speak to people, don't ever try to tell the truth. Yeah, that's a little strange. Many people would say that's a weird statement. We honor truth so much, or we say we do. Well, at least when it serves us well, we'll honor truth. Okay? What about if there is no truth? I mean, a simple example. Is this room real? Is what's in here real? What's on the tables real? Are the other people real? If we had some absolute reality that we could describe as being the truth, we would all describe it the same way, because it would all be just the truth. But if we took everybody out one by one and interviewed and recorded what everybody said, there would not be two descriptions the same as to what this room is all about. There would not be two descriptions of what truth is, of what reality is, of what God is, of what goodness is, of what heaven is, of what hell is, of what right is, of what wrong is. There is no absolute truth. Everything is made up by the mind that is observing it. And there is nothing outside of you to observe, so all observation happens within your mind. Our new worldview is going to be that being psychic is normal. Being a miraculous healer is normal. Having the right thing to say at the right time is normal. Having unseen people in the room and running around here drives animals crazy. There were so many of those names that were being read that were dancing and ecstatic. It's hard to imagine how ecstatic our friends on the other side are when we are getting it. They dance. It's amazing. There was so much activity in here. I don't know how the dog stayed in his skin. He's watching all this stuff going on. Very weird stuff. And we have the same vision. We can see everything that's going on. We're not limited to physical reality, because there is no physical reality. There's just what I think it is. That's all that exists. It's just what I think it is. Okay? So, we're going to work with each other a lot this weekend. We're going to complete our personal healing, release our belief systems which don't serve us well. And the rest of the world thinks you're a little crazy when you act that way. You know, they think you're not concerned about everything you should be concerned about. You know, you're not worrying about this and not worrying about this, and you're not being responsible. Gads. What's the ego's agenda? You know, the ego Everybody's got a different definition for ego, but I just kind of define ego as that part of us which believes it is separate from God. Now, if you're separate from God, who's going to take care of you? It's your job to watch out for old number one. You better work hard. You better eat the right foods. You better take care of this, take care of that. You better have a good job. You better da-da-da. All of which leads to what? The human condition. What's the human condition? Heart attacks, cancer, diseases of every flavor, poverty, lack. That's all the ego knows. It's me against the world. Ah. What if you believe the first page in the Course in Miracles? God has my back. I'm covered. I'm in good shape. I cannot lose. Can you imagine the ocean saying a wave does not belong to me? We're just a wave riding up here. The ocean's got us. Just let go. Where are you going to go? Back into the ocean. Feels really good there. It's really good. Another thing is to be honest about what we want. From our present state of being, we do not want God, heaven, divinity. We don't have a clue what that stuff is. We want the pressure to be off. Whew, I want to be able to relax. I want to feel good about myself. I want to feel good about my situation. I want to feel good about everything. That's human motivation to get us back to God. That's what gets us there. Some of you listen to Abraham, I imagine. Abraham's always talking about it is the contrast that gets you home. If you didn't have problems in your life, you wouldn't seek God. You'd be a couch potato. It's the challenges you have that's cause you to say, got to be a better way. What's that better way? Oh, now wait a minute. Isn't it cheating to let God do it? That's cheating. I was taught I was responsible for me. I'm supposed to work hard. And if I don't work hard, I don't deserve to get a good result. What about if it's the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom? Period. Not if you do this and if you do that and if you behave. And just it's the Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. Or the Course would say, you've never left the kingdom. Hello, wake up, remember who you are. You are not a body. You are not in a body. Everything you see here is an audio-visual training program projected on the inside of your eyelids with quadraphonic sound. It's a good show. Nobody has ever been harmed. Mental shelf. Right? Well, let me ask you, 3 lifetimes ago you were murdered. Do you care? Does it matter to you? It's irrelevant. Means nothing to me. Why were you murdered 3 lifetimes ago? Because 4 lifetimes ago you murdered several other people. That's karma, you know. Do you care? Does it matter? Does God say you have karmic debts, you must pay them before you can get into heaven? That's not in the New Testament. I don't know, maybe it's buried in the Old Testament somewhere. I don't think I've ever heard that in any spiritual teaching, right? No, no, no. So, if you could create the new worldview for tomorrow, the new worldview for 2013. Now, what's a worldview? Commonly accepted beliefs, patterns, habits that 99% of the people on the planet say that's reality. That's the worldview. What would the new worldview be? How would you have life be? You know, tomorrow we'll actually make a list. We'll build a big list of what we want the planet to be. So we want the planet to be peaceful. We don't want armies. We don't want poverty. We don't want lack of any form. We don't want disease. So we'll have this common set of beliefs for the planet in which there is no poverty, in which everybody is helpful to everybody, in which we don't see bodies, we only see souls, right? So we can't judge somebody because they're having a bad hair day or whatever, right? How would you have the education system be? Would you teach our children, this is the way it is and you better believe that? This is the way you make a living, and you need to believe that. Make a living? Can God not live? Nobody should have to make a living. Can't make a living. Can function within the narrow confines of their present belief system, which they were trained into. All behavior on this planet is learned behavior. It's all learned behavior. We've all been brainwashed. We were raised by people who said, put out your hands, we're going to put these handcuffs on you. This is going to be your restricted life. You can't step outside these boundaries. You can't teleport. You can't know what somebody else is thinking. You can't understand other people's motives. There is right and wrong, and if they do it wrong, you better blow them away. Right? That's the old worldview. We don't want that worldview. We want the new worldview. Now, the new worldview includes, I don't understand anything. When they told me, don't try to tell the truth, they said, because I didn't know the truth. And they told me that no human being in physical form knows the truth. That the truth is so much grander, so much bigger, so much more magnificent, so much more all-encompassing than anything we have reference points to talk about, understand. We just can't get there. We would like to know the mind of God, but first of all, I need to know his credentials. What university did he go to? How many degrees does he have? You know? What if learning is not required? What if all true knowledge is intuitive? Wow. It rearranges my hierarchy of authority figures. What if there are no authority figures? What if nobody knows more about what my life should be than me? Oh, that's strange. Oh, wait a minute. That guy has 30 years experience in this area and 40 years experience in that area, and you're going to say you know more? Sure, of course. He's not me. Doesn't have my history. We have a granddaughter who's 7 years old who has never taken an art lesson in her life and draws. It's unbelievable. She makes me think of Michelangelo, who took cadavers and explored how the muscles lay so he could draw them correctly. And she didn't even have to do that. She got it all down. No, the horse's leg is like this, and she just draws it. And it's amazing. You mean she didn't learn that in the education system? Nope, sorry, she brought it with her. Okay. Well, this is the way things work. Okay. So, how far can we take this? If we create a new worldview that we would like to see manifest on this planet, realizing that the planet is really an illusion, it is an audiovisual training program, okay? If we have a lot of things that we would like to create, I'm just poor little old me. What could I do about it? I can't change anything out there. No. You mean armies? Me? Politics? And me? Economics? And me? What could I possibly do? Well, I do believe you are the infinitely powerful creator of the entire universe. And I do believe you can shift anything. 1980, help me out here, 6, 7 something was the first harmonic convergence. 86. It was a good time. We were having a good time. We got to gather with people of like mind. It was a good party. It was a lot of positive thought. It was wonderful stuff. And at a certain time, midnight somewhere, everybody put their minds together and envisioned peace for the planet. And wasn't that fun? Did it do anything? I just got the biggest chuckle out of all the network news services when the Berlin Wall came down. They were all analyzing, trying to figure out, why did this Berlin Wall fall? Well, somebody didn't do this right, and somebody was supposed to get this message to somebody else, and they didn't, and all this. I'm sorry, it was the harmonic convergence that brought down the Berlin Wall. Gorbachev came to power. Released all the slave nations of the Soviet Union. Why did that happen? How was he able to get around the old power structure? Everybody wants the detail. I'm sorry, it was God. It was millions of minds put together in one place, visualizing peace on the planet. Occupy Washington. Occupy Monroe. Occupy this and that and the other. One way you can look at that is it's not cause, but it is effect. People are saying we need change. That's cool. But what will bring about the change? This group coming to one mind, visualizing peace and wholeness for planet Earth, will do more than any politician could even think of doing on this planet. That's what we're here for. You're not special, but you're not average. You're divine. Your job is heal planet Earth. That will heal individuals. It will heal groups. It will change the education system, the political system, the economic system. Nothing I see means anything. Politics, nothing I see means anything. Economics, nothing I see means anything. War, nothing I see means anything. I keep looking in the Course for the parentheses. Nothing I see means anything, parentheses, except that bad act. Right? I do not understand anything I see. I have given everything all the meaning it has for me. You mean it's not absolutely bad? I'm sorry, it's your choice to see it as bad. I could see it as good, yes, but that would be considered not compassionate. What would be the benefit of seeing it as not bad? Who would heal it? Oh. What you hold in mind is going to outpicture on this planet. Absolute law. Doesn't mean the planet's real or your thought is real, but it's the way the illusion works. Everything you think is going to outpicture on this planet. Everything you think will manifest. How powerful are we? Where two or more are gathered together, there am I also. What is there that we cannot do? We have a small task this weekend. Help each other complete our own personal healing, and then heal all the rest of it. Piece of cake. Piece of cake. You are the light of the world. You're not special. You're just the light of the world. (2012), fork in the road. You can decide, I'm going to do next year the way I did last year. A few problems, few successes, learned a little bit, yeah, made a little growth, yeah, okay, that's cool. Or you can say, I'm tired of growing. I'm tired of making progress. I don't want to take another 10,000 lifetimes to become enlightened. I choose to become enlightened by the end of 2012. I want the game to be over. When I first picked up the Course in Miracles, and I was quite stubborn about that, I learned about the Course in Miracles from Judith Skutch. I was at a conference in 1976. I was Harold Sherman was a fellow who had what he called the ESP healing workshops, annual workshops, and fabulous people he had there. And it was too expensive for me. So a friend of mine talked to Harold and said, hey, can Paxton come and work his way, get a scholarship here? So I became the janitor, and I set up the chairs, and I was the photographer, and I was working my way through this thing. And one year he had Gerald Jampolsky on the program. And Gerald Jampolsky was a mess. We all go through our stuff in order to learn what we need to learn to become the healers we're going to be. Gerald Jampolsky was there. He had a back brace on. He could hardly move around. He had been invited because he had written some article on ESP in animals. And so he was supposed to talk about ESP in animals. And I remember sitting backstage with Harold Sherman while Gerald Jampolsky was speaking. And Harold was really impressed with him. And I was saying, no, Harold, no, this guy's terrible. You don't want to invite him back next year. Oh, yeah, I'm going to get him back. Yeah. So I invited him back. Of course, he found A Course in Miracles in the intervening year, and he came back. He'd started the Centers for Attitudinal Healing. He had all these stories about all these children. And, you know, talk about tissues. The place was, I went through cases of tissues while he was giving his talk there. And it, you know, that was my introduction to A Course. But Harold had also invited Judith Skutch, who eventually got the Course published, because she was president of the New York Psychical Society. Of course, Judith is a PhD and she has all these credentials and all that. And so he said, no, you can't change your subject because I don't want you to talk about something I have never read, and I don't have time to read this Course in Miracles in the next 2 weeks. So go ahead and talk about New York Psychical Society, which she did. And I have sometimes images get burned into my head. As she walked out on the stage, she was wearing a white dress, and I'll swear she had white hair, which she didn't have at that time, and a white aura, halo, as she walked out. That's what I saw when she walked out there. She gave her talk, and it was very nice, and she got nice applause. And then she invited the staff to come to her hotel room to hear about A Course in Miracles, and I was staff, I was the janitor. So I got to go up to her room and hear about the Course in Miracles. And my response to that was, as she went all through it, and she had the first boxed sets, and they were $25 for 3 volumes. And I said, you know, I've got a bookcase full of channeled material. I don't need any more channeled books. And I didn't even buy them. And later, a year later, a friend of mine the guy who had gotten me the job at the conference, gave me a set. He said, you really need to read these. And I didn't even open the box. I never even looked at the set. And I used to do channeling sessions at my house on Friday evenings, and people would come over and we'd have a good time. And in one of these channeling sessions, whatever was coming through, I have no idea what it was, but the voice changed, went to something else, and said, Paxton, we want you to teach A Course in Miracles. And I had the perfect out. I said, sorry, can't do that, never read it. And the voice said, we didn't ask you to read it, we asked you to teach it. Well, boy, that was stroking my ego. I could teach something I'd never read, right? So, I must be really good if I can teach something I've never read. So, of course, I learned you had to read it to teach it. So they snuck me in the back door to reading the Course in Miracles. And I don't remember the point I was going to make about that course thing. Anyway, I did get to meet some fabulous people like Gerald Jampolsky and Judith Skutch. Have you read The Disappearance of the Universe? Is that a book some of you have read? Yeah. Interesting, good book. It says in there that the Course won't be widely accepted for several hundred years on the planet. And I don't know. Well, how many copies we got out? Millions already in 26, 50 languages. I don't know how many it is. Seems like it's getting to be pretty widely accepted. One of the worldview things that we will shift will be what religion is, and what value religion has, and what it serves, and what the difference between religion and spirituality, and those things. So we will work on some of those concepts this weekend too, as we shift our worldview. I noticed out here a whole lot of trees with nobody in them. And if you want to, during your break, we'll take about 15 minutes, if you want to walk through those trees and come back. Of course, I talk to trees, but I found it quite refreshing, quite nice.